Om Shanti and greetings of peace. A warm welcome to all of you this evening. And this is a very important topic in the field of spirituality. The aim is to develop self realization, to gain knowledge of the self, and to become an enlightened soul. This evening, we're going to talk about why is self realization so important. Many spiritual individuals, saints, sages, holy men or women, fathers, nuns, swamis, gurus, they are all seeking self realization. They all want to discover the self. So there are two words, realization as well as self. So, what is the self and what is realization? The self can also be referred to the soul. Some people refer to it as the spirit. Soul is a conscious being. It is the living entity in the body. Soul is the driver of the body, the car. Soul can be also described as the actor wearing the costume, the body. It is the actor using this body, this costume, to play a variety of roles. So, soul is obviously separate from the body and from the role. Soul has a personality. Soul, being a conscious being, have personality. Soul being a living entity, whereas the body is a non-living entity. Soul is non-physical, body is physical. Soul does not have geometrical dimension. You can't weigh the soul. You can't measure the soul. It's not made up of matter. It is not tangible. You can therefore see it even with the most powerful microscope, because soul doesn't have a physical form. Whereas matter, the body, is comprised of 5 elements: fire, air, water, earth, ether. We have the saying, dust to dust, ashes to ashes. So when the soul departs from the body returns back to matter where it belongs. It disintegrates that which belongs to the earth, that which belongs to water, that which belongs to air. It returns back to its original form. Soul is a child of God, whilst our body is the child of our biological mother and father. This is why when we look at our body and we look at our parents, we see similarities. If my body is Indian, it is assumed that my parents are also from an Indian background. Soul doesn't have color, size, age. It does not belong to any specific religion. When the soul entered the mother's womb, in that baby's body that is being prepared, the embryo, and when that soul takes birth, if it takes birth in China and his biological parent are Chinese, then because of the body and the role it plays, it adopts the language Chinese. It adopts the Chinese culture. And if Chinese are practicing Buddhism, then obviously the soul will begin to adapt to the religion Buddhism. So a soul adopts accordingly. So one could safely say soul has nothing to do with culture. Body has to do with culture, to do with nationality. So body has nationality, gender, color. Body belongs to that culture. Body adopts that religion, age. So when we usually identify ourselves, we are in fact perfectly describing the body. But the being, the spirit, the soul, the conscious living entity in the body is still unknown. Tonight we are talking about the self, and self means soul. Self means living entity, and self is that being. When we say human being, the human aspect of us is the body, and the being aspect is the soul. When the soul is in the body, it functions. The moment the soul leaves the body, it ceases to function. So, body belongs to me. The car belongs to me. House belongs to me. Friends and family are mine. So I have friends. I own this body. I own a car, but I am not my car. I am not my body. Just like we say, I hear with my ears, I see with my eyes. Who is this eye that hears and sees? Obviously, it is the soul. Because once the soul departs, even though eyes are there, ears are there, none of them can function. So it is a soul that hears, soul that sees, soul that feels. When somebody has his or her leg amputated, that person continued to have the same personality. So our personality has nothing to do with the body. And this is why whether the body is ill, soul is the one that experiences that pain or discomfort or depression, whatever it is the soul that experiences everything. And the moment the soul departs from the body, there's no way the body continues to suffer because it's in fact it is the soul that is suffering through the body. And why understanding the self is so important? Because in understanding the self, I'm understanding the soul. And if I understand that the soul is immortal, imperishable, indestructible, hasn't taken birth, wouldn't die, wasn't created, and wouldn't be destroyed, has no beginning, and don't have an ending. If I understand that, I will understand that before the soul enters this current body, the soul was in existence. And when the soul departs from this body, the soul will continue to exist. And so the soul with a personality will carry that personality when they leave their body. And if they are carrying their personality, obviously they have brought their personality in this current body. Like we have the Google boy and the Google girl, we have children at a very young age, brilliant, and no one seems to be able to determine where they get that brilliance from. Obviously, they're coming with that personality trait from a previous birth. All the scientists, whether it's Einstein or all the great men and women, whether they're philosophers, which guru, which saint, which holy person, when they passed away, each one of them, they're carrying those traits with them. And when they enter another body, it is very visible, the brilliance. They are able to read the scriptures literally out of their head, at the back of their hand, as one would say. They are carrying that personality. They are brilliant in being a brilliant doctor, a brilliant engineer. And so it's a fascinating thing to see and observe. And people wonder, where is it coming from? You see, from a very young age, 3 year old, 2 year old, shows certain personality traits, whether it's anger, attachment, holding on to their toy, not letting go of it, and all these traits that we see in kids today, they must be bringing those sanskars, those deep rooted personality traits carried forward from their previous birth. And this is why we conclude, after observing many kids today, doesn't matter which religion, race, nationality, gender they belong to, but we see that those children are showing traits. And when we witness those traits, we say, this is an old soul. How often do we hear ourselves or hear someone addressing a child or referring to a child and says, this is an old soul? So soul continues on. And if you don't have that self realization, if you don't know that you are bringing with you personality traits from the past, and those personality traits or those habits from the past is obviously related to actions we perform. So in the past, if I do something good, the result of every action is a reaction. The fruit of every action is that I get happiness or sorrow based on the action. If I continue to repeat that action, I eat chocolate once, I eat it 10 times, I develop the habit of eating chocolate. I tell a lie once, I repeat it, I develop the habit of lying. So that personality of lying, or that personality of loving sweet, having a sweet tooth, goes with us into our next birth. If I don't know the soul, I don't know the soul is eternal. I cannot understand presently what is going on in the soul. So we say, why is this baby born to suffer? Why God is punishing that child who hasn't done anything bad? Why some people who are so good they die early, and the people who are doing wrong things they seem to enjoy life? Why people are doing bad things and they're getting away with it, and people who are trying to be honest, they're deprived of basic necessity? So we question it. And when we question it, we put the blame on somebody. We don't think that that person. So if you are not aware of the present and its connection with the past as well as connection with the future, you will have a lot of doubts, questions, and you will want to blame somebody for what is happening to you or what is happening to someone you know. But if you know the soul and you know the soul is eternal, you know the soul has been here before, you know the soul will go and continue onward in its journey, taking another body, you will understand that you can't judge the situation unless you know the three aspects of time. You know the past, you know the present, you know the future. It's like you walking on the road and you see two individuals fighting. In your understanding, one seems to take advantage on the other. And you're thinking, judging the situation, this is not fair. This person is taking advantage of that person. And you intervene without knowing the full story. But if you come to know that the one who is being hurt was the one who had created some atrocity in the past, did something horrendous to the one who is hitting him. We don't know. We don't know the past history of these two people. But you're looking at the scene and you're thinking, why is this one hitting that one? Why is this one taking advantage of that one? So, how can you judge the present if you don't know the past? And how would you know that when someone who commit heinous crime, many forms of abuse in the world, and if it affects us or a relative, a friend of ours, we think that person must be punished. That person will have to pay for the crime he or she did, put in front of the justice system. But the person is not caught. Person finally passed away. Where does the soul go? What happens to that soul who have created karma and must pay for those karma? When you see now a baby born handicapped, mentally retarded, then we question, oh, this poor baby. Why did God bring this child in this world? Why did the parents bring this child in this world only to suffer? So when we don't know the soul and we don't know the journey of the soul and we don't know the karma of the soul, how can we stay detached and not come under the influence of what's happening around us? When you see someone suffer, our merciful heart, our good wishes, our loving feelings obviously go out to that one. And we should give help to someone who is suffering. But to lose faith in God, to lose faith in truth, to question reality, and to get confused and to get disturbed by the scenes that we see. Neither can you help yourself at that time, nor can you be of help to someone else. So self realization protect you from becoming disturbed when you see scenes in the drama, when you see people going through what they go through. You can send your good wishes. If there's a way you can physically help, help, but do not question it. Do not get sorrow from it. Do not lose faith. Always, if you can help, help, but not at the expense of your peace. I see someone online right now, someone from St. Croix that I personally know. And I remember we were together the year before last. Of course, last year we couldn't travel. 2019, I was in St. Croix. And I remember that she was telling me she went on the road and she saw this lady in this situation, literally naked on the road. And the lady was, of course, not in her right sense. And so she was very disturbed. And she said, somebody should do something. Somebody should do. Oh, look at this situation. Look at this person. And I could see she was very emotionally upset. I know she's listening to me. And I said to her, listen, is there somebody you can call? Authorities you can call? Can you assist in getting her off the road? Can you provide some form of protection from her? Do that, but not at the expense of your peace. Don't lose your peace. Don't get emotional, but act, do something. Because this is why when you go in a flight, they say you fasten your seat belt first. You put on your oxygen mask first before you attempt to put on anyone else's oxygen mask. So you have to help yourself. So knowing the soul and knowing that I am the soul and I am the one that create thoughts, feelings, and emotion. So if my thoughts are of anger, and based on those angry thoughts, I am getting very aggressive. If I understand I am the creator of my own thoughts and feelings and emotions, and it has nothing to do with anyone else, or it has nothing to do with the situation outside. And if I know that as a soul, I am the creator of my own thoughts, feelings, emotions, I then have the power to change those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Even if somebody says to me, I don't like your outfit, I don't like your car, I just don't like red car, the color red. So I don't like your car. I don't like that particular style, that outfit that you're wearing, even though they're being honest. But if you had expectation that that person will approve of your choice of car, color of the car, or approve of your outfit, you were expecting them to say, wow, you look great. I love your outfit. And because of that expectation, and they said something totally what you didn't expect, you get upset and you feel that that person is insulting you, disrespecting you, that person doesn't love you. This is why that person says, I don't like your car or I don't like your outfit. So it's not the person, it is my expectation from the person. It's not the person, but how I interpret what that person says. So if I'm a bitter person, obviously I will be wearing that lens. Everything I will see through the lens of bitterness. Just like you wear a green glass, everything appears green. In the same way, if I'm a critic, I am a negative person. I only see that which is not going right. And therefore, because of that perception I carry, every single thing or person or situation, I will react in that particular way, negative way. So it's not the situation, but it is true the lens I'm looking. I'm looking through the lens of a negative person with a negative personality. And that's exactly what I will read. I will notice everything only that is negative. And if I'm a positive person, I'm looking through the lens of positivity, I will only identify that which is positive. So, but if I don't know I'm a soul, I don't know the self, I don't know I create my own thoughts, feelings, and emotions, I don't know that I perform action which leads to habits, which leads to the development of my personality, and which outcome will create my destiny. For example, if I am performing bad action, I cheat, I steal, I tell lie, I rob, I do it one time, I get away with it. Nobody noticed. So I'm tempted to do it a second time. And by the time I do it a third time, I develop the habit of lying, stealing, cheating, and ultimately I will develop that kind of personality. And based on my personality, I am designing my destiny. If my personality is one of cheating, lying, stealing, then what kind of destiny I'm making for myself? And whether I experience that destiny in this birth or I carry forward some of those karmic accounts in my future birth, I have to pay off. Because as you sow, so shall you reap. As you make your bed, so will you lie on it. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Even if I realize I've done something wrong, realizing is only one step. The karma has still been performed and the karma still has to be settled. But of course, if I be honest to God, if I confess that I've done something wrong, you will have to, we will have to pay for that karma. But because I've been honest, the guilt, the guilt that I carry because of what I do, I don't have to live with that guilt. My conscience don't have to bite. My conscience doesn't have to make me sleepless. So that's why there's an old saying, a guilty man dies 1,000 deaths before he or she reaches the gallows. So when I'm honest in what I have done, which I know is not right, there's not the guilt, but the karma still have to be sorted out. And because I have been honest with God, God will stand behind me. God will hold my hand. God will be by my side and walk me through when I settle that karma. So I never think I am ever alone. I have the support of God. I have the support of the people who I have been honest to. I did something wrong to somebody and I went back and I asked them for forgiveness and I say to them, I'm sorry. And so I will get, obviously, I will get their moral support as I go through. But the idea of because I tell the truth, it means I will settle that karma. If that is the case, we'll all do all the wrong thing and get rich, steal, rob, and get rich, and then just go and say, God, forgive me, or ask for mercy. It doesn't work like that. Karma is in our hands because that's why we have a body. That's why the soul enters a body. Soul enters a body to uplift itself, And so from our action, we can either degrade the soul or uplift the soul. It's in our hand. It's not in God's hand. Many times I hear people say, if it is the will of God, it will be done. Thy will be done. Thy kingdom will be done. Only if God permits. Only if God permits, it will happen. It's not true. God says, knock and it shall be opened. Seek and you shall find. Ask and it shall be given. God help those who help themselves. Take one step and I will take 1,000 steps towards you. So nothing is in the will of God when I have choices. When I don't have choices, then I am at the mercy of God. I'm at the mercy of circumstances. I'm at the mercy of the ether, the universe. But when I make choices, I have a mind that I create positive or negative thought, to steal or not to steal, to lie or not to lie. When I have that power to think for myself and create the thoughts I want to create, and when I have the choice to bring that thought into action, like I think to steal, then I decide to steal, then I use my physical organs to go and commit the act. If I can choose for myself, think for myself, choose for myself, act it out, then obviously the result of that action has to be only my the outcome of that action will only affect me. It has nothing to do with God. When we were little and our parents tell us, don't play with fire, and we choose to play with fire and we get burned, it is not that our parents is responsible for us getting burned or our parents is punishing us. When our parents say, have manners, be respectful, go to school, take your education, and we don't do that, and we turn out to be somebody with no formal education or no nice principle behavior, is it because our parents is punishing us for that? No. Every soul is an individual soul. Even twins have their different personality. Even twins, one comes seconds before the other, and they have their different personality. So no two individual is the same. No two individual is the same. And so when we recognize the soul and we recognize the power in the soul, the power to think what we want to think, the power to make the choices we want to, the power to design our own destiny. Our own destiny is in our own hand, not in anyone else's hand. And so this is what self-realization is all about. If we don't know the self, if we don't know that the self is an eternal, imperishable, indestructible being, we will think birth is the beginning and death is the end. And therefore, we will have questions why someone is born with a golden spoon in their mouth and why someone is eating from the garbage bin. Why some are brilliant and some don't have an intellect to process anything. Why some are born mentally retarded and why some are sparkling souls enjoying everything that life has to offer. Why is some people suffering and some people enjoying life? We will have these questions, but if I understand soul, I understand the role of soul. I understand how the soul functions. I understand the personality of the soul. Soul comes with a personality. Today, many of you who are parents, you must be noticing that each child have a unique, special personality, and no two are the same because they come with their karmas, good or bad. They come with their personality traits from the previous birth. This is why understanding the soul, self realization, or enlightenment, or self awareness, or self knowledge is the same thing. And to know the self inside, then I will recognize that nothing outside, nothing. The whole world can go through whatever turmoil, chaos, but I am separate from that which is outside. Even if my body is not comfortable, it does not mean that I, the soul, can be unhappy. And we see people smile through any form of illness. They may be sick, but their face does not show any sign that they're sick. And some people have a healthy body, but their face is telling that they're unhappy. Feelings and thoughts and our emotion has nothing to do with the body, let alone situation and circumstances. However, I can use that situation as an excuse. I was telling someone earlier how effort is not a convenience. Many people say, if this situation improve, then I can do this. If this facility is available, then I will do that. If the rain doesn't fall, of course, then I will come to the function. But if it rains, I am not promising you. So we are victims by choice. We choose to allow an external situation. We know that there are people in the world today. We have read, we have watched movies, or we have had seen documentary of very famous individuals who have everything at their fingertip. We were talking the other day about Princess Diana. Millions of people watched her wedding. And she was so beautiful. It took so many months to prepare her dress. And she was getting married to a prince. And she was going to live in a palace. And she died searching for love. She died unhappy. And you ask yourself, she had the world at her feet. Everybody want to. I remember going to a home in New Jersey, and everywhere in this house are images of Diane in the form of a painting, a cup, a glass, everything. They have did so many souvenirs of Princess Diane. And I was in the UK when she passed away. We got the news early one morning when I was going to the Center for Meditation. We got the news she died. And we cannot believe the impact. A few days after Princess Diane died, Mother Teresa died. And I watched the reaction of the whole world. Everyone was talking about Princess Diane. Every news media, news network was focusing on Diana, and how many were focusing on Mother Teresa. And Mother Teresa left the body having served so many people and made so many people happy. And she didn't get the publicity. Even up till today, they didn't make movies and documentaries and all of that from her life as much as they do for Diane. Just to give you an example. So, what is it that is the reason why someone who have everything and is still not happy? Where someone, when Mother Teresa, she was a school teacher, she had this thought, I want to serve the people who had leprosy. And then she forgot about that aim that she had. And one day she left the school at lunch break and she was walking down the road and she came face to face in front of someone who had eyes, in the eyes of that individual, that bleak look, that look of hopelessness, that look of, look at me, accept me. It jolted her back to reality. And she turned back and she went to the school and she told her principal she wanted to resign. And of course, the conversation that came up after that, she explained why. And then he asked her, do you have finances to do this, to serve people with leprosy? Are you out of your mind? Yeah. And why are you thinking to do that? Do you have financial backing? Do you have people, an organization, an institution, a building in which you're going to serve these people? She said, no, but I want to serve them. And she did. And she helped so many millions of people to feel respected and valued and accepted again. So, one who has everything and they're not happy, they're a beggar to their own desire. And one who has nothing but has contentment, they are the king. So it's not what you have, it's nothing physical, it's nothing external, it's not the scenario around you, it's not an event or a situation that makes you happy or sad. It is whether you are aware of your fortune, of being alive. Are you grateful for what you have? You know the story of the guy who was complaining about not having shoes until he came in contact with someone who didn't have feet. Then he began to realize how lucky he was. Some people have money stored in a locket and they feel like a beggar. They feel like they don't have anything. They say, I want one more thousand, two more thousand, 10 more thousand. And every desire we have, it robs us from being happy, being contented, being peaceful. And the less desire we have, more the possibility of being happy. So there's two nice Hindi words that I've learned. Acha means good and Icha means desire. And Icha doesn't allow you to be Acha. So decide what you want. Do you want to be Acha? Then you have to lessen your desire. That happiness is not an acquisition. Happiness is not something that you acquired from outside. Happiness is a state of mind, and you can create happy feelings with your mind. It's in your hand. So, all of us should have the aim to be aware, awake, and conscious. And when we are awake, our third eye is open and we are on the path to enlightenment. And on the path of enlightenment, everything is happening the way it is meant to happen. There is no coincidence, there is no accident. Destiny is in your hand. Decide that I want to be happy and create happy, contented thoughts. Om Shanti and a good evening to all of you.